Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Bean, and today I'm coming at you with a video I wasn't planning on doing because I wasn't supposed to haul any books. But I have a book haul. And it's bad. In my defense, I did remove books from the home and sent them to half price. I took them there and then bought more books there. But I did unhaul probably 20 books, if not 25, more than that. I unhauled quite a few. And I'm pretty proud of that. It ended up being 2 bags, so that's good. But I do have a haul for you guys today, so we're gonna just go through that. I have broken it down into 3 different categories. The first one being book boxes. I do subscribe to 2 different book boxes, Book of the Month and then Twisted Retreat. And then the second category is going to be half price books, so books I got at a half price bookstore. And then the third and admittedly largest pile is Barnes & Noble. It wouldn't be this large if we hadn't gone this past weekend and there had been an author event. There hadn't been an author event, because there was an author event at our local Barnes & Noble and we picked up several books. So, things. But we're gonna hop right in, and I'm gonna start with my book box books. There's 2 of them here, because I have my Book of the Month and then a Twisted Retreat. So we're gonna start with the Book of the Month. And I have talked about this one briefly, not in this video, but on my other channel, and that is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. This is this was my February Book of the Month, I believe. Yep, my February Book of the Month for 2024. This is a witch hunter romance, the start of a series though. This is book 1 in the Crimson Moth series. Our main character is known as the Crimson Moth. Her real name is Rune, and she goes around basically saving witches from being persecuted. And Gideon, our love interest, is a witch hunter who ends up kind of pretending to court Rune in order to try and figure out why the Crimson Moth is seen so much around her ships. And I'm not doing a very good job at explaining this at all, am I? That's okay. But basically, she's masquerading as this very flippant, very airy, airhead girl, and she agrees to court this weird guy. And as they are courting, he's realizing she's really not as clueless about anything as she's acting, and that there's something going on, and he ends up falling for her. It is an enemies to lovers story, so I'm honestly really excited. I think it sounds really fun, and I've heard only amazing things about Kristen Ciccarelli's writing. I do have The Last Damn Sarah here on my shelf as well. I just haven't read it yet, which is par for the course, because it's me. No one's surprised. The only other book that I have as far as book box goes was my January Twisted Retreat book, and that is Bone Pendant Girls by Terry S. Friedman. I got this box last week, but I was sick when I did my unboxing video for it, so you aren't going to see that because I sound absolutely horrendous. Alright, I'm just going to read this top little summary of this book because it's the best way to summarize it, and I'm really excited to read this one. Andy Wyndham has been able to communicate with spirits since she was a kid, but her father warns, ignore the voices or become a freak. Now she is drawn into a frightening mystery where 2 spirit girls desperately need her. Someone is killing teenage runaways and making pendants from their bones. So she can talk to these spirits through these bone pendants, and it sounds absolutely amazing. And this is a Twisted Retreat book too, so it comes with special features. So I've got sprayed edges on this one, all 3 edges. We've got the end papers. It is signed right here. And then, as they always do, there is underneath the desk jacket is always gorgeous, and this is probably one of my favorites. Plus we have the original cover right here. So I'm super excited for this one. Honestly, this might be one of my most anticipated that I've got in a box. I've never heard of this before, and I never hear about most of the books before I get my Twisted Retreat box. I kind of set it up that way as well, so I never know what's coming. But I also don't know these books. These are very different books for me, and I'm so excited to read this one. Alright, moving on to the next pile I have is going to be half price books finds, and the first one I have that was for me that I bought is The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz. This is the story of a woman who is looking for a place to stay and ends up finding a spare room with this couple, and then they all end up becoming involved with each other, only for her to learn that the last person that stayed in this room, in this spare room, was murdered. Or, well, we don't know that. She disappeared. They don't know what happened to her, and she's like, well, that's not good. And so has to figure out what's going on and trying to get out of this, but they like won't let her leave. So I'm really intrigued by this. I have been trying to get into more thrillers lately, and this one is definitely one that's high up on my list. It's also short, so I'm pretty excited. And then John picked up a copy of City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the first book in his first series, which I don't know what it was called. This is a completed trilogy. This one came out before Foundryside, which is the one that I am finishing this month. I'm very excited. I don't remember exactly what this is, but I believe it is gods in a city that has basically disintegrated because the gods abandoned it. I don't remember exactly, and I'm sorry if I misquoted that, but I am very excited to reread this, because I actually read this book way back when it first came out. This first came out in 2014, so that was when I first read it, and I understood it, but I think a lot of it also went over my head because I was a lot younger then. So yeah, this was 10 years ago I read this book. We'll see how it aged. Alright, then recently I went back to Barnes & Noble, this time with Callie, and I picked up The Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This is Tessa Bailey's newest release, and this is a fan, I think, story. Basically, it's a sports romance, and I guess it's a duology, about a bad boy professional athlete who falls for his biggest fan. I don't know a lot about this. I know he's a golf star, and I'm really hesitant but curious. I did buy it, so I mean, that's one thing right there. But golf has very little interest for me, so I'm curious to see how this one goes, not gonna lie. And then also, because I just really wanted to, I did pick up Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. This is a YA romance between a girl and a boy who works at her dad's game store, and she's forced to work there for the summer after getting into trouble, and they fake date. I believe this is a fake dating romance setup, and it's got D&D references all over, so I'm really excited. I think it'll be really cute. The initial reviews I've heard are that it's very cute, so there we go. I'm excited. It's also really short. Now for my last pile from Barnes & Noble, I picked up several books. We're going to go back again to when John and I went to Barnes & Noble, and the first book that I picked up there was This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer. This is one of my most anticipated releases of this year, well, of this quarter at least, of this year as well. This is a climbing horror book, and I'm just going to read the back because it's a lot easier to explain that way. Take only pictures, leave only bones. This trip is going to be Dylan's big break. Her geologist friend Clay has discovered an untouched cliff face in the Kentucky wilderness, and she's going to be the first person to climb it. Together with Clay, his research assistant Sylvia, and Dylan's boyfriend Luke, Dylan is going to document her achievement on Instagram and finally cement her place as the next rising star in rock climbing. 7 months later, 3 bodies are discovered in the trees just off the highway. All are in various states of decay. One a stark white skeleton, the second emptied of its organs, and the third a mutilated corpse with the tongue, eyes, ears, and fingers removed. But Dylan is still missing, and no trace of her, dead or alive, has been discovered. Were the climbers murdered? Did they succumb to cannibalism? Or are their impossible bodies the work of an even more sinister force? This dread-inducing debut builds to a blood-curdling climax and will leave you shocked by the final twist. So, I haven't read a lot of rock climbing romances, but I was a rock climber for quite a few years. I'm really excited to see what this has to offer. And again, thrillers. I'm trying. This next book is actually one that John picked up, so I don't know what it's about exactly, but that is The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. This is the first book in a series. It's blurb by Mark Lawrence, which is always a good sign. And it's the start of a new epic fantasy series. Alright, here we go. Born into the troubled kingdom of Albermain, Alwyn Scribe is raised as an outlaw. Quick of wit and deft with a blade, Alwyn is content with the freedom of the woods and the camaraderie of his fellow thieves. But an act of betrayal sets him on a new path, one of blood and vengeance, which eventually leads him to a soldier's life in the king's army. Fighting under the command of Lady Evadane Corlane, a noblewoman beset by visions of demonic apocalypse, Alwyn must survive war and the deadly intrigues of the nobility if he hopes to claim his vengeance. There we go. That actually sounds very interesting. A little less political, which is nice, because I don't do a lot of political stuff, but I've heard this, I have not heard of this one much before or really seen it online, but I'm intrigued. It's also a thick boy, but it will be added to our fantasy section because that's what we read here. And next one is the one that we were both very interested in, and that is The Lost War by Justin Lee Anderson. This won an award for the self-published fantasy blog-off. And it was like the book of the year for I don't know which year. Hold on, what year? 2023, so for last year. So that's really cool. But again, I'm just going to read the back because this cover caught my eye, but I don't remember what it's about. It's been a little while. The war is over, but peace can be hell. Demons continue to burn farmlands, violent mercenaries roam the wilds, and a plague is spreading. The country of Eden is on its knees. In a society that fears and shuns him, Aranok is the first mage to be named King's Envoy, and his latest task is to restore an exiled foreign queen to her throne. The band of allies he assembles each have their own unique skills, but they are strangers to one another, and at every step across the ravaged land, a new threat emerges. Lies are revealed, and distrust could destroy everything they are working for. Somehow, Aranok must bring his companions together and uncover the conspiracy that threatens the kingdom before war returns to the realms again. So I had an idea at one point to read all of the books that have won the self-published fantasy blog off at some point. This was picked up by an actual by Orbit, but I still might do that video at some point, so we'll see. Next is actually a book that I've read. I read a book, guys, and that's A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal, and if you have not read this, you really need to. My review just went up on Instagram, so you should check that out. This is a story that follows adoptive siblings Arthi and Jin, and they run a tea shop. Now, this tea shop caters towards everybody during the day. It is a tea shop. It is well known, well respected, but at night it caters towards the undead, towards vampires. And basically, they're running this underground blood house. And it's all about how Artie is willing to do just about anything, and Jin as well, in order to keep this tea house and their lives as they are. It is so well done. This is the first book in a duology, and it just came out on the 20th, so yesterday, and if you haven't picked up a copy, I really highly recommend it. Yes, it's YA, but it is so well done. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I did listen to the audiobook. I got a copy from NetGalley, and I would highly recommend the audiobook as well. There is an interview at the end between Hafsa Faisal and her husband, and it is the cutest thing in the world, so you guys really should read it and listen to it. Next book I picked up was Kiss the Girl by Zoraida Cordova. This, from what I understand, is supposedly like a Little Mermaid-ish retelling, but our girl who's Ariel Del Mar. Oh, the Spanish, guys, the Spanish. Ariel of the Sea. That's what that translates to. Anyways, Ariel is one of the most famous singers in the world, and she really just wants a break. So she leaves her life as a singer and ends up signing on as an anonymous groupie for an up-and-coming rock band, which is where we meet our love interest, and it's basically her running from family and bad family dynamics and such. So I think it sounds really interesting. Callie kind of sold me on this one, so that's why this is in the bunch. Next, I've got Razors of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. This is a book that I am super, super excited to read. I'm just gonna read the little blurb at top because this is what caught me, and this is all I know about this book. Rival archaeologists must team up on a secret Aztec expedition, or it could leave their careers and hearts in ruins. I'm sold. That's all I need to know in order to want to read this book. But I am a sucker for anything archaeology related, so. But I do actually want to read this one anyways because the end of this year, so in September, Callie and I will be attending Romance Con, And Jo Segura is one of the authors that will be there, so we're going to meet her, and I'm so excited. Y'all should come. It'd be so much fun. There's 5 books left. Now, these 5 books are all books that were picked up because of the author event that we went to. So, we're just going to kind of jump into it. I'm going to start with a pair of books that I actually did not plan on picking up, which none of these I planned on picking up. But this is the first and second book in a series. It irritates, I'm a little irritated with myself because the covers don't match. But the first book is The Studying Hours by Sarah Ney, and the second book is The Falling Hours. Now these are the first 2 books in the How to Date a Douchebag series by her. That's all I know. How to Date a Douchebag, and just reading the backs of, I read the back of this one. He's a douchebag. He's not a nice person. He's an asshole. Like, he's not a good person. So it sounds like it might be a bully romance, which I'm iffy on. I haven't read a good one, so we'll see. Also, this one she gave because she was going to do a giveaway, and she's like, here, have it! And we went, okay, sure, thanks. We showed up at the very end of the event because we didn't know it was happening. So yeah, that was that whole one. Next book that I got was Fractured Freedom by Shane Rose, who is a wonderful human being. She was so sweet. This is the first book in, I don't think it's Mafia, but it's like light Mafia, she had said. So I'm not sure what that means, but it is Brother's Best Friend. And it sounds like Second Chance. Not positive on that one either. But basically, she tricked her brother's best friend into taking her virginity. Yeah. So, I'm curious. We'll see what happens. I love this cover. It's so pretty. They live next door to each other, too. So, they're neighbors as well. Next one I picked up is from another author who we got to talk to, and she was very sweet. And that was Penelope Black. And this is Wolf, which is the first book in the Brotherhood series. This is an Irish mob series. Apparently they meet because they're almost step-siblings, because her mom is engaged to the mob boss, but then it doesn't go through, and she ends up with his son? Yeah. I don't know, I'm intrigued, but again, I really like this cover. I like the skull here, it's really cool. But my attention has been grabbed, and I'm very intrigued by this. I have never read an Irish Mafia one, but there's also really cool art like inside the book, and she gave us some cool swag too. I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna see what ends up happening. I am out of my comfort zone with a lot of these types of romance books because I don't read mafia romances. I don't read mob romances. It's not something I ever have read. I have a couple, I believe, but I've never read them. So we'll see. We'll see. And the last book that we picked up from authors at this author event that are apparently going to be at the romance convention that we're going to is Too Wrong to Be Right by Melanie Johnson. I didn't realize this is technically the second book in an interconnected standalone series, but that's okay. She said I could still start with this one if I wanted to. But this one has a hedgehog in it. It is a romance between a florist and a funeral home director, I believe. I think he works at his family's funeral home, and they meet over a corpse, is really what I know. And there's a hedgehog. And a cockatoo. Cockatoo, like the bird. I don't know, but I'm so intrigued, and the way she described it, it sounds really adorable. But she loaded us up with a bunch of swag as well. And I will hopefully, Callie picked up the other one, so I'm gonna try reading this one and see if it makes sense and then read the other one. And if I really like it, I'll honestly pick up the other one as well. So I'm intrigued, I think it'll be fun. So that's what I got. I hope you enjoyed this. I know that the last couple were a little weird, but if there's anything you've probably learned about me when it comes to like author events and stuff, I get very caught up in the moment, very caught up in the, oh yeah, that sounds great, and I get it, and then I'm like, I don't know what this is about. I got no clue. Even reading the back doesn't always describe like tropes or anything like that, so I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited to read them though. So let me grab them all. There we go. Here's a couple books. I can't get them high enough. They don't all fit in frame. But I did the thing, unfortunately. I bought books. I shouldn't have, but I did the thing. I am holding them the wrong way for you to see. Oh. So, you're gonna fall over and hit me. Here's the books I bought. We bought, because John bought one or two. John bought a couple of these as well. Whew, that was heavy. This is my workout for the day. That's my video. I hope you guys enjoy. But actually, what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna try and put these on shelves. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys here today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep reading. Bye!